About to introduce our speaker for this evening. And I think it was about 2 years ago that Gary told me about an entrepreneur from Vidalia. And he told me about what he was up to and how he was marketing and growing his company. And then had the privilege of meeting Lance in December of this past year at an event. And we've visited a few times since then, and his talent and his skill when it comes to not only marketing and advertising, but leadership and management are just phenomenal. For the past 3 years in a row consecutive, they have been on the Inc. 5000, but not just on the 5000, they've been in the top 1,000 all 3 of those years. 3 years ago, I believe they were the number 9th fastest growing company. And then last year, they were the number 2 fastest growing company. And this year, they are the 7th fastest growing company in the state of Louisiana, all based in Vidalia, Louisiana. So Tance actually has 3 different brands that he runs under his company, Southern Designs. The first one is called Metal Unlimited, and they do specialized or custom decor, and he'll go into that metal decor. Another one is called Cut Maps, and they're custom maps that are cut out of different cities, all the big cities around the country. They also do custom maps as well, and he can clarify all the stuff I'm messing up right now. And then their newest company is called Carter and Main, if I'm not mistaken, it's the newest one. And it's a special wallpaper product that they're just getting into as well. So if you would please put your hands together and join me in welcoming Tance Hughes.
Okay, am I on? Good deal. Thank you all for coming this evening. I appreciate it. I was thinking maybe there'd be like 15 or 20 people here, so Wayne and them have done a really good job getting the crowd out, so it's kind of exciting. I've actually been, before I get started, I just want to speak on what Gary mentioned with BAS. I've been knowing Gary and working with Gary for a couple years now. Probably 2.5, 3 years. I'm not sure where Gary's at, but he can maybe attest to what that time frame is. But actually going through some coaching with Gary and worked on some financial consulting with somebody else through BAS. So Gary and his team, Cleta at BAS, have had a hand in our success, and we really appreciate that service that they offer. I continue to work with them on occasion and try to be really involved here in the events that he and Wayne and Cleta put on. So I do appreciate y'all letting me come, because I know sometimes maybe you think of this as a small town, but from a very small community of Vidalia, about 4,000 people. So it's exciting to get to come and network with like-minded individuals. So today I'm gonna, I guess, talk about growth and marketing and targeted marketing. I'm gonna bounce around a little bit. I'm not the most polished speaker, so I kind of bounce around a little bit. But just to give you a little bit of background, our company is 11 years old. We started senior in high school, and so we were printing T-shirts and growing our business this way as a local service provider, and I always knew I wanted to create something that I could sell outside of kind of the boundaries of my home, my region. I just didn't always know what that was, and so eventually tried to create product lines through screen printing, and selling apparel is a very competitive game, so I didn't stay in that for too long. I was looking for something that maybe there's some opportunity to kind of, if you've heard of blue ocean marketing, something that had some opportunity that had not been, I guess, tackled yet, or didn't have a clear market leader. And so over time, I was studying these different trends and kind of where the market was going, and I found an opportunity in metal decor. It has a somewhat high entry point with equipment. The equipment's not the cheapest out there, and then to do it right, which is the way I want to do it, and kind of go large with it. It was a decent investment, so found this opportunity. We've grown that brand over the past 6 years now, and we, like Wayne said, we started a brand of peel and stick wallpaper that we sell, and then our Cut Maps, which is a small company we acquired out of Virginia. So Gary will be pretty proud of that as well. We're importing not only revenue, but imported an entire company to Louisiana from Virginia. So we've been really excited about that as well. So So here's a little slide real quick. That's our company, Southern Designs. And like Wayne said, I'm doing a lot of bragging. I haven't really said anything of value to y'all yet, but Inc. 5000, been really proud of that. We've done business with Walmart, with Home Goods. All the ladies are familiar with Home Goods. We sell a lot of product there. Groupon and e-commerce giant. We've been on the Forbes 30 Under 30. So a lot of cool stuff there, but a little bit about Metal Unlimited, which is our main brand, or kind of our bread and butter. These are some of the products that we manufacture: laser cut, steel, personalized gifts, all this kind of stuff. But what I want to talk about is, there we go, spoiler. In October 2014, when I was getting ready to launch Metal Unlimited, I was following a strategy that I'm going to talk to you about. And my list, is what I'm going to talk about, had 803 email addresses on it when I launched Metal Unlimited. On that day, I sent out an email to 803 people, and I got 12 orders. I was pumped. I was like, 12 orders, this is awesome. You know, I'm basically rich. Like, people love my stuff. You know, I've got this. So 803 orders, 803 email addresses on my list, got 12 orders. Fast forward to today. I made this slide today. October 2019, I have 279,746 email addresses on my list. And today I'll probably close out the day with about 600 orders. The reason, to me, the key reason we've been able to be successful in growth of sales, to create revenue anytime I want, is my list. And what's important is, what I'm going to talk about is, actually I'm going to leave that there for now. You can have the greatest product in the world. So I'm sure many of you have different products and services that you're very proud of, or that you have in your mind that you're working on, you're perfecting, you're working on your craft. You're trying to get it just right so that whenever you get ready to sell it, people are going to love it. They're going to buy a ton of it. You know, you're going to make it big. You're going to take over the world. But you can have this greatest product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, it doesn't really mean much. On the flip side, you can be a celebrity, famous athlete, politician, whatever you want to be. And you've got an audience, and you know, athlete can come over here and grab this box of batteries and tell kids, hey, these batteries this is what you need to buy. And he'll sell millions of these batteries sitting here, right? He's got an audience, or he or she have an audience. And so, like I said, you can have this great product, but if you don't have an audience, it doesn't mean anything. And so I think one thing that many entrepreneurs, myself included when I first started my business, was we focused more on the product, or not that we didn't focus more on the product, but we don't focus enough on building an audience, on getting attention to what we're doing, on who we are and what we have to offer. Another great example of this would be social media influencers. That's kind of the big thing right now in social media marketing. You give product to these people who have a large following on Facebook or Instagram, YouTube, whatever, and they promote your product, and all of a sudden people know about you and that they're buying things. It's because they have an audience. For them, like I say, it's not hard to sell, but it's a lot easier to sell. They got people listening to them. So, you know, one of the things that we did when starting Metal Unlimited was I actually made an image with a few of these metal signs that I'd come up with, and I put an ad out on Facebook. Well, first off, I emailed the people that I had in my inbox that I knew, my friends, my family, business associates, whoever that may be. I sent out this email and I said, hey, I'm about to start this new project. I would love it if you go check it out on my page, go sign up for the list, and I'm going to send you more information as I have it available. So I started building my list that way. Then I created this image, just put together this image. I didn't even have products yet. Started running some ads targeted at who I thought would be interested in it. I started just seeing if I could even get people to sign up, like if they were even interested enough in the product to give me their email address before they bought anything. If I can't get them to give me that email address, how am I going to get them to give me their credit card, right? So I started running these ads, spending small amounts of money, and quickly I started seeing, okay, there's interest in this. So I built up this list over 6 months. I built up anticipation. Hey, we're doing something really big. We're going to have this great whatever, so-and-so. And eventually, we launched. We made a big to-do about it. We launched. We had orders. We started building on that momentum. And so how many of you have had a great idea for a product or a service or something, but for whatever reason, it didn't end up panning out? And I'm going to raise my hand high because I have them all the time, even today. I found that, by and large, it's been due to simply not having an audience, not having a list. With our new wallpaper product, we launched it on July the 1st this year, 2019. And we spent months advertising, preparing, planning, building an audience, building videos, photos, to gather interest in this product. And then the first day we launched, and this is 2019, this is just a few months ago, the first day we launched, we sold, I think it was 3 orders. But we sold orders, we had a list, we're building it up, and now we have, actually just 2 weeks ago, we were reached out to by this company who puts on events for these magazines and website editors and writers and publishers, inviting us to New York to come present, to come showcase our products, work with the editors and writers in a small setting. It's only going to be about 20 of them, and basically give them some product, what have you. And it's all because we built that audience, we got the attention out there. And now with these writers, if we can get them to write about us on their websites and magazines and things of that nature, your audience is going to grow exponentially from there. So I know I've stressed that a lot, but it's key. It's what I believe in. So to go from the concept and overall, I guess, thought process behind building your audience and having a list, Wayne and I were talking about what I would speak on this evening, and he asked about, what are some of the tools you actually use? What are the ways that you build this audience, right? So it's kind of like a chicken egg scenario, because I've sat here and said, well, you can have this great product, but if you don't have an audience, it doesn't mean anything. Well, how do you build an audience if you don't have anything to show them? So I get the confusion there. So Wayne has kind of talked to me. He's like, well, how do you build this? How do you balance that out? And how do you find success with it? So what I'll clarify before I go into more of the details here are, my background is e-commerce. I sell physical products to individuals. They're low ticket items. When I say low ticket, I'm generally selling orders under $100. They are not impulse buys, but it doesn't take a lot of convincing to sell the product. And it does have some seasonality to it. So understand, if I'm talking to you and you sell insurance, or you're a contractor, or you're a photographer, or maybe you have a local, like a restaurant, and you don't export your goods, or what have you. I understand some of these things will be a little bit different for you, but kind of try to take from it what you may, and hopefully I'll give you something good out of it. So the first thing I want to ask everybody is, do you have a website for your business? Does everybody have a website for their business? Yes. All right. How many of you have Google Analytics installed on your website? Okay. So Google Analytics is a free tool. It tells you all you need to know about the people visiting your website. I can't stress how important it is to get this tool installed on your site ASAP if you don't have it. I live in Google Analytics. I check it probably 70, 80 times a day. I just flick up, see how many people are on my website. It'll tell you where they're coming from. It'll tell you some of their interests. It'll tell you what pages they've been on, how they got to your website, how much time they spent on your website, how many pages they average on your website, so on and so forth. By using this data outside of Google Analytics or inside of Google Analytics, you can start to form, right, kind of paint this picture of who your customer is. Why are these people coming to my website? Who are they? What are they interested in? What are they not interested in? Which pages are they not going to? Which pages are they bouncing off of? This is a 100% free tool, costs you zero money, just a little bit of time to get it installed on your site, and you can start to paint that picture of your customer profile. Once you know who your customer is, or that profile, and you've got that information, you can take it to Facebook and Google ads. So how many people are advertising on Facebook and Google today? Yeah? A few people? Yeah. So Facebook and Google ads are my primary sources of revenue for my company. By understanding who my customer is, who's interested in my product, where they're going, where they're buying, where they're dropping out, I can use these tools, Facebook and Google ads, to really target, kind of hone in on who I'm trying to reach. So my target customer profile are females, ages 45 to 64, family oriented, middle to upper income. That's kind of my target customer for Metal Unlimited. So if I'm showing ads to people like myself, I don't even sell to people that look like me for this brand. If I send ads to myself, my costs are going to skyrocket. My conversion rate's going to be low. I'm not going to have much success because I'm wasting my time showing an ad to myself. For my other brand, Carter and Main Wallpaper, we learned by running some small ads, talking to people, building our list. We learned, and looking at Google Analytics, who's coming to our site and spending the most time there. And it's actually females ages 25 to 34. They're actually located in these certain maybe regions of the country. They're interested in these patterns that we've posted pictures of. We've got patterns on our website that we've never printed before, but we Photoshopped pictures good enough that make them look like real rolls of wallpaper. And so we can see if they're bouncing in and off that page, how much time they're spending there, what they're interested in. And we're actively using this data on this 3-month-old brand to hone our ads, to try to increase our return on investment on our ads, and to understand who we're selling to. Because ultimately, I know I get caught up sometimes thinking, I'm going to create this because I think this looks great to me. And what I really need to figure out is, what does my customer want? What do they want to purchase? What do they want to see? What do they want to experience? And that's what you have to understand in business is it's not always going to be something that you like, but what your customer likes. Because like I said, I make most of my money off of females ages 45 to 64, so I sell them what they want. As you've built your audience, you've gotten your getting traffic in from Facebook and Google ads. The next, and actually probably most important tool that I have is my email provider, because I've harped on the list. I use an email provider called Klaviyo, but I'm sure many of you have heard of MailChimp and some of these other ones. The difference between an email list and email marketing, as opposed to social media ads, search engine ads, what have you, is once you have your list, it's yours. You own it, right? So I've got 279,000 emails, and I say, I want to go send these people an email and tell them about a new product. It doesn't cost me anything to do that, outside of my subscription to the email provider, which is not much. So I can say, hey, I've got this great product, it's $20. I'm sending out to 279,000 people. And I know off the top I'm going to sell 300 or 400 of them, just like that. Whereas if I was to try to go serve ads to 279,000 people on Facebook, Google ads, I've got to pay Facebook and Google to show it to all these people, right? Over and over and over and over. But if I get that email address one time, I've got it. Unless they unsubscribe and hate me, which does happen at times. So it's just part of it. The next two, maybe you're a little, I don't know, QuickBooks. So I'm talking about tools. QuickBooks, I'm analyzing all of I'm very much a data-driven, analytical person. I'm studying all my numbers and financials inside of QuickBooks, which don't really apply to the marketing, so I probably shouldn't put that in there. But coming down to Shopify, that's the platform I use for my website. If you happen to sell anything on the internet or what have you, find a really good e-commerce platform that gives you all the data, because once again, with Shopify, I can cross-reference my data with Google or my advertising with Shopify and make sure that everything makes sense, and not that one platform's telling me something wrong. So I always cross-reference my traffic numbers, my sales numbers, etc., across multiple platforms to make sure everything's accurate. And finally, down at the bottom, I have a tool down here, and I think this one would probably be more applicable to everybody in the room than maybe some of the other ones would be SimilarWeb or Ahrefs. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with these tools. They're really good research tools for finding keywords, how much the bids are for the keywords, cost per click, which keywords are driving traffic to a certain website. So let's say you're in insurance and you're trying to figure out why your competitor, or where your competitor is getting this traffic from, or what's bringing people to their site. You can go in there and type in their website, and you can actually see how much traffic they're getting to their website, which keywords are driving that traffic, which pages are the most traffic to their website. And then you can also do keyword research and see, well, if this keyword's popular, how much traffic's coming to one that's similar? Maybe if it's home insurance or mobile home insurance or auto insurance or what have you. For me, I look up home decor, so then I look into maybe it's a metal monogram sign, or it's a metal wall sign, or whatever. And I've used this to find the keywords that are driving traffic to my competitors, or also opportunities for cheap keywords. So cost per click may be 30 cents for this keyword, but maybe 70 cents for this keyword, 90 cents for this other keyword. So I want to see if I can get some value out of that 30-cent keyword and drive that traffic to my site. So I would recommend you to look up those two tools. They're a little pricey. SimilarWeb has a certain amount of it that's free. So check that out before you committed to paying them anything, because it's really expensive. And Ahrefs, it's okay. It's not too bad, but there's tons of value in there. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in thinking that a tool costs too much money when we don't realize the amount of value that you can get out of that and get that return on investment very, very quickly. Another one that actually I'm going to tell you all about with Facebook. If you want to go see which ads your competitors are running on Facebook, you can search Facebook ad library. Type in any page on Facebook. You can go see what I'm running right now. Go to Facebook ad library, type in Metal Unlimited. It'll show you every ad that I'm running right now. It'll show you the video, the photography, the copy that I put on there. It'll show you when I started running it. And you can kind of start to see, well, this brand keeps doing videos or pictures like this, and they've been running it for a while. There's something to that. So when we were at the table talking about our icebreakers, one of the things that, one of the questions was, what skill do you want to pick up and improve upon the most in 2020? Which business skill? And for me, it was getting better at content creation and being creative and trying to come up with videos and photos and things like that resonate with customers. I'm not the most creative person ever. I don't have the most beautiful slideshow ever. But I'm trying to figure out, and kind of related, so that question is kind of related to what's the greatest ad campaign that you've ever seen before. Why do these ad campaigns that we all know and think about, why do they work? Why do they resonate? And so that's something I'm really trying to improve upon, but I highly encourage you to go to Facebook ad library and check out any ads that your competitors may be running, or maybe it's just a company that you know is very successful and trying to figure out what they're doing to connect with their customers. So that's kind of a cool tip. So like I said, I know I'm not the best speaker in the world. I'm actually going to skip through a few of these over here. These are some dashboards, but they're kind of hard to see. So this is the back end of Google Analytics. I did want to show this one. I took this screenshot today at about 1 o'clock. So at that moment in time, there were 98 people on my website. It showed you actually which websites they came from, which social media platforms they came from, which pages they were on, where they were at in the United States, how many page views I was getting per minute. And as you can see on the side over here, you've got some tabs where you can drill down into that data even further and see all this stuff. So like I said, this tool is completely free. And I highly, highly recommend for y'all to go check this out. Especially if you like data or numbers or any of that kind of boring stuff that I love. It's a really good tool. It's free. So this is my information. If you want to go to our website and check out our brands, or if you want to shoot me an email, I I know I kept this kind of simple, and I didn't even read my notes. I told Wayne, I was like, I'm going to follow my script, and I didn't do it. I didn't pull it out. I kind of just started talking, kind of like the question that said, what could you talk about for 40 minutes without preparation? I guess I enjoy data, but I really, what I don't want to do is I don't want to keep everybody here all night. And also I really love to just talk kind of openly about things, and I didn't want to give everybody, like I said, giving your customers what they want. I don't want to sit up here and just talk about all this stuff and then we have to leave. I would rather, I don't know, just talk with y'all and see what everybody wants to talk about and hear about, and maybe I might have some questions as well. So, Wayne?
I got one question for you. What is the book that originally got you started on kind of building a list and growing your list?
Yeah, so there's a book, it's called Launch by a guy named Jeff Walker. I'll just give the disclaimer, at least in my opinion. The book actually seems, when I read it, it feels a little bit, I don't know, kind of like, I hate that get rich quick kind of stuff, but you kind of read it and you're like, this kind of seems too good to be true and whatever. But what it is you take the bits and pieces that you learn from things and you apply that to your life. You don't do an all or none thing. So just like with this segment, there's things that maybe apply to you and that don't. That's fine. But this book is really good. It helps you lay out a blueprint on how to launch, how to plan and prepare a launch for a new product, a new service, or even an existing product or service. Maybe you want to relaunch it, kind of get that momentum behind it. I highly recommend the book. It's very cheap. You can find it on Amazon and all those kind of places. But I've used the blueprint from that book over and over to launch products and even to brands. And it's fairly foolproof as long as you stay dedicated to it and follow it.
So if you have questions, let me run the mic to you. Anybody that's got questions?
So how often do you send out your, I guess, email, newsletter, or whatever? And is it just like a, hey, we've got this new thing, click, or do you put some sort of, some other interesting tidbit of information or something in there?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. If you send out emails too much, people are going to start unsubscribing. I know I do that. If I hear from you too much and I'm like, just leave me alone, I'm going to hit unsubscribe. So we actually send out emails generally once a week. And during the holiday season right now, we're starting to send them out twice a week just because it's that time of the year for us and we know people are in shopping mode and so, but generally once a week. Now, generally they are, recently they've been pretty, I don't want to say salesy, but we haven't done a ton of content. We've just kind of been like, hey, here's a special we got going on. Here's a new product we've got. And that's why I went back to, I want to do better at getting content creation and building more of a connection with my customers and my business, as opposed to just saying, hey, buy this stuff from me and, we're done. Because ultimately I want that long-term customer. I want that lifetime value, as opposed to them just feeling like I'm just trying to sell them a bunch of stuff. So, hey.
I kind of want to build off of what you just said. So we live in a world where everybody pretty much has ADD and we only have like 3 seconds to view. Mm-hmm. So I know myself in the morning, I don't want to look at content. Mm-hmm. So the question is, I just want to see what you're doing and then get off of it. Okay. So going off of that, how can we create really good content for the emails when you have literally 2 seconds to keep their attention?
Yeah. So that's what I'm actively working on, is trying to get better at content. I think, one thing is keeping it short and sweet. Generally our emails don't have a ton in them. They're fairly simple. But another thing, I'm going to kind of bounce in a different direction, is thinking about the time of the day that you send the email. So say, I wake up in the morning, I'm looking through all this email, I'm trying to get to work, I'm taking kids to school, I'm doing this and that. Or is sending something in the evening when people are at home and they're kind of like sitting around and they're, kind of decompressing from the day, and maybe they have more time to browse. So I think, I don't know if I'm answering your question exactly the way you want, but I think there are strategies in when you show your content to people as well that come into play. I know for us, we send a lot of our emails at 7 o'clock in the morning. We're strong there, but one of our competitors, he sends most of his promotional content at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. And there's a reason he's doing that. Obviously, he's being successful with it. So that's one thing I've been paying attention to. But, you know, I don't know that I have a specific answer for it, other than I'm trying to get better in that field myself. Yeah.
So do you subscribe to your competitors' email list so you'll see what they're doing?
Most definitely. I go on Facebook, and so actually, that's another story. So I go on Facebook and I look for, so first off, all right, who here knows what the Facebook pixel is? All right, okay, good, okay. Facebook pixel, all right. So you know how you go on random websites, or, well, Facebook pixel does its own thing, but you know how you get on the internet and you go to target.com and you look at this thing on Target, and then 30 minutes later you're browsing on ESPN or whatever, and then all of a sudden ads start popping up for these products. All right, you're in that person's pixel, whether it's maybe like the Google thing or Facebook pixel or what have you. So where am I going with this, Gary?
Check it on your competitor.
Yep, right. Okay, so I go to my competitor's website any chance I get, because I want to get in their pixel. I want to be in there, because then I want them to serve me ads, so that now I'm seeing their ads and I'm seeing what's going on, seeing what's working. If I'm on Facebook and I see their ad, I make sure to click it, not to charge them that 20 cents, no, not at all, but to go to their website to stay in the pixel. I want to see everything they've got going on. So basically that, if that makes sense. If you come to my website, if you go to Southern Designs tonight and you click on Metal Unlimited, you go to the website, you check out a couple products, I can almost guarantee you that when you get on Facebook tomorrow, you're going to see my ads. So what I will say is, if you see my ads and don't want to buy anything, don't click on them, because that's going to cost me. But if you want to do some research, then go ahead. I don't mind giving you that. But I mean, just test it tonight. Go to my site, click on my stuff, see if you start seeing my ads. You should. If you don't, then I got a problem somewhere.
Email you, right?
Yeah, email me.
I assume as your email list gets larger and larger, it's hard to keep it growing. Other than new customers, how do you continue to grow that email list?
Other than new customers. Okay, I see what you're saying. So, other than new customers, then they come and purchase, and because of that, they get subscribed. Okay, well, for that matter, I mean, we market our products, and people come to our site, they sign up for our list, and they don't purchase necessarily. So when you come to our site, you're going to get one of those pop-ups. Hey, get 15% off if you give me your email address. That would be the biggest way, is just simply putting that offer in front of people and saying, give me your email address and I'll give you something back. That's really it, how I grow it without it being customers. That being said, I don't find it hard to grow my list. 279,000 people actually seems like a lot of people, but really, there's how many people that live in the United States of America? 350 million, let's say. There's a lot of people out there I could add to my list. I'm kind of just scratching at the surface. Our email list this time last year was maybe 200,000. So I've picked up about 80,000 people in the past maybe 12 months. Even just probably 3 months ago, I was at about 260, so I'm at 279. So by the end of the year, I should be at 340, 350, because it's holiday season. So that's where I'm gonna, pick up the most. The hardest thing about picking up, I guess, new customers is you just got to keep spending money on ads and hoping that they're going to sign up. But I still think there's a ton of potential. I hope I answered that right. Yeah. And then kind of side note, which I think a lot of us do, is doing little, if you do like contests or giveaways or little live videos or things like that on social media or what have you, make more shares and comments and all that kind of stuff's great. Make the requirement to enter that they give you their email address. Give me the email address and you're entered to win. I don't care if you share or do any of that other kind of stuff, because I promise you that email address is going to be way more valuable long term than a share or a comment or a like. So we're doing that Thursday if y'all want to watch our Halloween costume party at work. We're going to have a Facebook Live and do some of that. So,
Any other questions?
Yeah, so what I'm curious about is the southerndesign.net. I know usually the SEO practitioners will tell you go to .com, and I'm curious what you thought about it and what was your decision on that?
the short of it would be, yeah, I should have .com and not .net. I didn't. So when you're naming something, I highly advise that make sure the .com's available before you get it. I mean, yeah. But I was 17 when I did it, and or whatever, and I just did what I did. All of my brands. So I don't sell anything on this website. This website's not heavily trafficked. It's just more of like a corporate website or something. But all of my brands have the .coms, and I've tried to buy the .com. They won't sell it to me, unfortunately. So, but he's right.
What would you say your percentage is of the click-throughs from Facebook ads versus Google ads?
Yeah, so 80-20, 80 Facebook, 20 Google. Between those two. And we advertise some other places. We advertise on YouTube a little bit, which still kind of falls under the Google umbrella, really. We try to advertise on some other sites, but yeah, 80-20. It depends on your type of business. That's not necessarily a rule. That's just our split.
So I first heard about you on Groupon, and I was wondering how you got involved with them, and do you think it's productive? Has it worked for you?
Yes. Yes is the answer. So we just started Metal Unlimited. We were selling, I was meeting other people that were in my industry or selling products, and there's one guy I'd gotten to know, and he said, hey, you gotta check out selling on Groupon. It's done pretty good for me. Here's my contact over at Groupon. So I contacted them and got set up on there, and it did good for us. And then within about 6 months, it became our largest funnel to bring in new customers. And they were our largest customer for probably 2 years. And they're still one of our largest customers today. The good and the bad of it is they want a ton of the cut, but it's a really good way to get traffic to you without having to put money up front. So it's kind of more, kind of like a commission-based thing where if they sell it, they get their cut. Would I say I recommend it? Under the right circumstances, yes, but it doesn't work for everybody, just because they generally want a lot. So honestly, my opinion on Groupon is I feel like they're starting to struggle a little bit. They're not as strong as they have been in the past few years. I'll be glad to talk to you more in depth about that later if you'd like.
What's your turnaround on orders? How soon do you get them out the door when somebody orders them?
So today we're at 7 to 10 days, calendar days. We've been as far back as 6 weeks, which was horrendous. So we've had to make a lot of investments in equipment. I was talking with Bo on the ride over here. It's kind of a strange territory that we're in because we were growing so much. We didn't have enough equipment to meet the demand for production, so that's why our turnaround was so long. We finally have enough equipment, we feel like, to get the orders out the door. We were talking at work today, we're up 20%, but we feel like we're not even busy right now. But yeah, so one of the unique things about us, and one of the things I like, which is what I recommend to people as well, is that kind of that unique value proposition that maybe you have. And for us, it's almost all of our stuff is made to order. It's personalized, and that can be a tough concept, and if I'm looking for the right word, to scale. Because when you sell 1,000 of something and every single one of them has a different name or number or color or whatever, that can be a tough kind of puzzle to keep put together. And a lot of people can't do that at scale. And we've been able to put that puzzle together and keep it flowing. And so for us, one of our value props is that we can customize at scale, mass volume, and people still get a unique product. But to get it out the door fast can be tough. So now we're at 7 to 10 days, calendar days, and for us, we need that window to be as short as possible during the holidays to get people their stuff.
When you're out that far, how do you keep in contact with the customer so they ain't just getting refunds, wondering where their product's at, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, if they complain, we're gonna keep the customer happy and give them their refund.
But no, what I'm saying is, if you're 4 weeks out, do you let the customer know at 2 weeks we're fixing?
Yeah,
to
our
start
website has a disclaimer on that, so they know before they purchase. It's on every product listing.
This is the stage question. Bo wrote over here.
Right.
It's a stage question.
I know Tance, and I've watched Tance grow a lot, and I've watched the rapid growth that y'all have had, and I remember the times whenever y'all were like 6 or 7 weeks out. How did you manage being able to grow and to adapt so that your capacity has grown faster than you have grown?
It
How
has
did you
now,
do
yeah.
that?
Has now. That's a good question. How have you managed to continue to grow your business while funding essentially the growth of your logistics and your equipment? Creative, and don't take this the wrong way, I don't say creative financing, but I don't say robbing Peter to pay Paul either, but getting creative with how you fund things, just being honest. There's times, especially through that growth, where you just say, hey, I'm going to not take a paycheck this week, or we're going to do this or that, but really just creative financing. Buying equipment, for example, generally lenders don't want to give you a long term on equipment because it depreciates so quickly. It becomes out of style or the old model, and so now there's a new one out there and it has no value now. So they don't want to give you long terms. They want to give you 3 years or maybe 5 years. I found somebody that would give me 7 years on my first machine. On my latest investment or purchase with powder coating equipment, I bought used instead of new. Saved me a lot of money. Honestly, though, the best answer would be assembling a good group of people that work, and I say work with me, not for me, because we're part of a team. I don't want to sound cliche, but it's the truth. Building a good team of people who have invested their time and energy into either working overtime, finding new creative solutions to get things done faster, learning the machine so that when they have a problem, we can repair them ourselves instead of calling a technician and spending all this money. I don't come from money. I'm not rich. I'm not rich today. I have plenty of debt with my business. I'm just going to be out there. I got a lot of debt to pay down, a healthy amount, but really, I get creative with my numbers. I analyze my data. I see my cash flow, where things are going. I hope I'm answering that right. That's kind of a complex question in my eyes, and it definitely wasn't staged because I wish I had a better answer. I kind of feel like I'm mumbling right now, but yeah, all those things together.
So you had mentioned something about social media influencers. Have you actually used social media influencers, and if so, what was the experience?
I have utilized them, and I would say overall the experience is not nearly as good as most people would have you think, simply because you've got to find these influencers that have the right audience. So they can say, I've got 100,000 people that follow me on Instagram, but are those 100,000 people interested in what I have to offer? If they're not, I'm wasting my time with that person. Or the second thing are people that have fake followers and fake accounts and things like that follow them. So I would say the best advice I have for working with influencers is finding an influencer that has an engaged audience. Forget the size of the audience. If they have 5,000 followers that are super engaged and really into what you've got, that's better than 100,000 people that could care less what you have. So don't just look at that follower count and think that that's the most important thing, because it's not. And then also the smaller influencers that have smaller followings are generally a lot cheaper too. So.
You were talking about creative financing and sacrifices and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet you don't regret them.
Not at all. No, not at all. Not at all. And you know, time sacrifices too. One of the things that, so I have a 2-year-old at home now, and one of the things, and Bo can attest to this, and this would probably actually be part of an answer to that question to really think about, is just getting up there and working and putting into it. And people say, oh, you got to grind, or you got to do this or that. And that's true, but there's also a quality of life balance that you have to have. For me, before I had children, I would just go up there and work because I saw what could be if I would put in the time now. You know, because now, like, if I'm working 12 hours and 14 hours a day, my wife gets mad and she's like, you know, where are you at? What you doing? Or she's sending me pictures of my little girl and she's like, you know, this is what we're doing at home. And she knows that that's going to make me jealous. And so now I want to come home. So part of that growth thing too would just simply be investing time to save money so that I could afford to buy this equipment. But I might go up there and work at night, you know, whatever. So yeah, but I don't regret it, no.
What % of revenue do you spend on marketing advertising?
Let me do the math. 20, probably about 20% of my revenue goes back to marketing. So for every $5 I bring in, $1 at least on marketing. It's probably a higher percentage than a lot of people. E-commerce has a very high, I think Wayne may actually know the answer better than me, but e-commerce has a very high marketing spend ratio to revenue.
Well, what I was going to ask is, earlier you said something about Groupon and how you feel like that's starting to fade a little bit, so you might not be getting as much traction from that channel as you would a different type of channel that you were marketing through. So when have you ever switched a major channel of what you were utilizing to gain some of your customers, and at what point do you fade out or change if it's not bringing you as many customers as maybe it had in the past?
Yeah, that's actually an excellent question. About 3 years ago, so we're doing the Facebook thing, we're advertising there and whatnot, but Groupon, selling a ton of stuff on Groupon, doing really good. And I said, you know, you all heard the saying, the only constant in life is change, right? As humans, we love our comfort zones, we love our little routines, and then when somebody throws a curveball at us, it kind of freaks a lot of us out. I've learned that I have to embrace change. So what I realized was, hey, Groupon's selling all this stuff. This is great. We're growing, but it's not always going to be this way. Now, it could be 10 years down the road before things change. You know, I'm not sure, but I need to plan for this. And so I started saying, we've got to take Facebook advertising more seriously. We've got to take Google advertising more seriously. We've got to find other partners to sell through so that we can diversify our customer base, diversify our acquisition channels to prepare ourselves for when that happens. Because the flip side could be, they could be doing great and they might just say, hey, we don't want to do business with you anymore. You know, you're gone. My slide, I think it showed Walmart on there. And so actually right now we're not doing business with Walmart. They're not buying from us. They're actually phasing out the wall decor category for the most part in their stores. So they may have some really good deals coming up, just to let y'all know. But Walmart was never more than 3% of our entire revenue. And we did that on purpose because we knew this would happen with Walmart, right? Everybody knows the story about Walmart. They come, you sell a bunch of their stuff, and then they're like, you're gone, we're going to China or whatever we're going to do. So while it's a great story to tell and people cheerlead when they, oh man, you're selling to Walmart. And yeah, we're proud of that. And I'm not trying to put Walmart down, but I'm just simply saying we kind of know how that works and we want to protect ourselves. And in the past couple of months, they just told us, hey, we're phasing out wall decor. We're not going to be ordering these things from you anymore. But they haven't closed the door on the relationship, which is a good thing. So what I would say is always being proactive in assuming, hey, this may not be here tomorrow. What can I do to offset that? Another point to this is for customer acquisition. So in Groupon's case with us, we still get the customer data, but if you sell through another channel, say a middleman of some sort, I mean, we sell on Wayfair, we sell wherever, they get all that customer data. So like from Wayfair, the customer never comes to our website. We don't get them in our pixel. We can't use their email address or any of that kind of stuff for marketing, and Wayfair's still getting their cut. So what's more valuable, selling orders through these other channels or building your own list where you have total control over that and nobody can take it from you? So I think another point of that is the decision was also, hey, we need to really keep focusing on building our own list and not, relying on somebody else's list that we don't have ownership over. Direct selling doesn't work all the time for everybody, but being as direct as you can and getting as much of that information as possible is very critical in my opinion.
Yeah, so I want to follow up a little bit on Walmart and any partners you have. I know that's a really tough thing to do in terms of getting their attention, actually carrying your product. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious about the process you use to get in their face and be able actually to put your products in there.
Yeah, in Walmart?
Yeah, Walmart and whoever else, yeah.
In Walmart's case, they're having a big push for anything made in the USA. So we found out about their Made in the USA program, applied through that, went and pitched in Bentonville, got the okay. So that's how we got in with Walmart specifically. Once you have something like Walmart or anybody else credible on your resume, then you can go to Home Goods and say, hey, I sell to Walmart. Obviously, I'm capable of handling the world's largest retailer, so I can handle you too. And I can produce at scale. You know, what can I do for you? I mean, it's almost like it's just one of those things, like you get that kind of gold star from Walmart and you can do it for anybody else. So leveraging that proof, not that I've always leveraged Walmart to get those relationships, but another thing would just be anything big is if we go to a lot of trade shows and kind of try to put ourselves out there with everybody else in the world, say, hey, look, you know, we're here, we paid $5,000 for this booth that's not the size of this rug to come get in front of you. You know, we're legit, like we're in, and that's actually how we got Home Goods. We went to a trade show and they just walked by our booth and were like, we like your stuff, we want to place an order, I'll be back in an hour. And she came back and she wrote me a purchase order for $20,000. I was just like, okay, well, this is worth it, you know. And then we've had that relationship for 2 years. That's our experience. And then sometimes we try to direct approach people, just, you know, the worst thing I guess the worst thing they can say is no, and you don't lose anything. You can't be scared to, you know, approach them or think that you can't work with somebody big, because, you know, it can be done. I mean, we're a very small company. We have 35 employees. We're based in Vidalia. We're not that big, but yet we work with Walmart. So they do work with small suppliers. They do work with small companies.
So you may have partially answered some of my questions. How did you go from just selling locally to a national level?
So with Metal and so essentially we pivoted the business, right? So we were a local service provider. We essentially reinvented ourselves to say, well, we did a year where we did both, but we invented this brand, Metal Unlimited. Started out national. I'm not trying to sell this to my friends and family next door, but I'm trying to sell it nationally. So the approach started out very differently. Well, for us, it meant advertising outside of our region. So first off, saying how can I sell, or what can I offer outside of my boundaries, and then how do I go about doing that? So for me, it was, well, I can make this product and put it in a box and ship it anywhere in the world. So now I've got something that I can sell to anybody. So then now how do I get in front of them? And in that time, and still today as well, Facebook ads are very easy. Google ads are very easy. So identifying something that has that you can take outside of your community, really. So, you know, it can be hard. Like if you have a restaurant, let's take this for example. If you have a restaurant, okay, you got this restaurant, and people are going to come to you from 20, 30 mile radius, whatever, what have you. You've got this great food, but you're like, how do I take this somewhere else? Well, I can go open another restaurant or whatever. Or a creative way of thinking of it is, what's something that's a hit here? Like, what's my popular thing? So I think back at home, there's this restaurant called Fat Mama's in Natchez, Fat Mama's Tamales, but they're known for their margaritas and their margarita mix. So now they have a product. So they have this restaurant that can only do so much in a certain region, but they can take that margarita mix and they can ship it worldwide. So now they've got something to build their brand upon. And then when Fat Mama's opens a restaurant in whatever town, they have more brand recognition and visibility, and I wish they would wish they would do that, because they have a lot of opportunity with that product. That doesn't really matter though. But
So I'm really intrigued. You have 35 employees. Are they all in Vidalia? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your system for recruiting? That's a large percentage of the population there.
Yeah.
And you're scaling fast.
So we employ almost 1% of the entire town, right, Bo? So 3,500, and it's about 4,000 people. Yeah, we employ about 1% of our town. That's kind of crazy to think about. It's kind of weird. Well, first off, in a small town like ours, you know everybody. So you just kind of ask around, or you know people's history, so you know somebody would probably be a good worker or not. But actually, we'll get on Facebook, and then you post something on Facebook, and everybody starts sharing it and this and that. But specifically for identifying a good employee, there's plenty of tools to find people to come apply for the job, right? But how do we attract good people, and then how do we determine if they're good? One thing I really love to talk about and study are personality tests and how people make decisions and how they go about their lives. So while they still fill out an application and have all this information, we actually focus on hiring people who may not necessarily have the paper to back it up, whether it's a high school diploma or college education, but specifically exploiting, and I don't mean this in a negative way, this is not a bad word, but exploiting their skill set and trying to find how can we take this skill set and give them a job where they can do better than they could almost anywhere else in our community, and yet we still get a good value for what we're hiring. Because in our community in Vidalia, there's not necessarily the education level isn't necessarily the highest. I didn't graduate from college, I have a high school diploma, and that's it. So our level's pretty low. So we're trying to get creative, and find what kind of skill set does this person have? So my IT guy, he's a high school dropout, but he knows computers. He loves computers. That's what he's passionate about. So I say, hey, how can I exploit this and really give him the chance to make a great career where he doesn't also want to leave, because he knows that most people don't hire the way that we do. And so, it's a win-win for both sides. But as far as how we just straight up find people, we just put on Facebook, really. But that can be dangerous sometimes too, because then you get like 100 applications and everybody and their mom is coming in, and So did I answer that good for you? Okay.
All right, one last question. Who's got the last question? Nobody. Okay, Facebook versus Instagram.
In what context?
Marketing,
Instagram.
advertising.
Facebook. I prefer Instagram. Actually, oh gosh, I shouldn't even say this. That's why I was going to not say earlier. I actually really don't like Facebook. I hate all the negative things related with Facebook, but the fact is, it is what it is, and everybody's on it, and it's the way that we communicate these days. Facebook overall is still a stronger marketing platform, simply because of the sheer amount of people that are on it. But we're seeing things change. We're seeing the younger demographic go to Instagram. Instagram's a simpler platform though, so it's a little tougher to. There's more options on Facebook, but I would say it's not a hard and fast Facebook, but overall it is. But it's really knowing where your customer's at. Are they on Facebook, or are they on Instagram, or are they on Snapchat, or are they on certain websites? And you get on Google and say, hey, I want to advertise on these sites. So it all depends, but generally Facebook.
Y'all put your hands together and thank Tance for sharing with us. Thanks so much for being here. Good.